My predictions had the 2019-2020 Premier League season, which kicks off on Friday. I'm going to give you my bottom three and top four. Short and sweet. Number 20 in the bottom three. Rock bottom is going to be Sheffield United. This has come as a surprise to nobody because most of us who do these videos will pencil you in there. Last time you were in the Premier League, it was called the Premiership, back then, you went straight back down. There was all that controversy, wasn't there, with the third party ownership of Tevez and Mascherano, which Neil Warnock still complains and throws toys out of the pram till this day. Still bands on about it. Get over it. Your team is littered with lower league players. Nobody gave you a prayer of coming from the Championship up into the Premier League. You could be last season's version of Huddersfield. You could be. You've re-recruited Dean Henderson. He'll never play for Man United. He's way behind the pecking order with the goalkeepers we already have at our disposal. He's Sheffield United class. He isn't Man United class. You haven't spent much money and you're going to go straight back down. But you might get scalps during the season. And with Ollie at the wheel, you might just get a little bit of a taste of a points total when you play us home and away. Number 19, Newcastle. And as Alex Ferguson once said, you're just a wee club in the northeast. You always have been, and you always will be. I added the last bit there. Aston Villa are a bigger club than Newcastle. Even Norwich are a bigger club than Newcastle. Do you know why? Because they have the trophies that prove it from yesteryear. Now, Rafa Benitez left a couple of months ago now, because supposedly he wasn't given enough money, and yet Mike Ashley has allowed Steve Bruce to splash the cash, so to speak. And your last successful manager wasn't Rafa Benitez. It was none other than Alan Pardew, where you finished 5th and you acquired European League football when you had Papa Cisse up front. Those days are long gone, and before Alan Pardew, your best league position was in the top 4 under the great Sir Bobby Robson, God rest his soul and all that. When you finished, I said 4th, you got into the Champions League. I remember when you didn't have any points, 0, then you won your final 3 games. I think one of them was against Juventus. I think Alan Shearer scored in one of those games. But I see you going straight back down. Steve Bruce is a good manager, but he's not really what Newcastle fans want, is he? You've sold Jose Perez to Leicester. He's gone from the slums of Newcastle to the slums of Leicester. Glutton for punishment, isn't he? So yeah, you're going to go straight back down, and do you know what? I hope you do, because you're not a big club. You may fill your stadium every single week with 50,000 Geordies, but that's about it. That doesn't make you a big club, because big clubs win trophies. Number 18, Brighton and Hove Albion. I have no idea why you got rid of Chris Hughton. That was a stupid decision, and it will come back to haunt you. Brian Potter's gone into the fray. He has no Premier League experience whatsoever. You know, Chris Hughton did have. And you got to a cup semi-final. You will never get to a cup semi-final ever again. Just like Southampton will never get a cup final ever again as well. Your squad is paper thin. Bruno's retired. I'm not talking about Bruno Fernandes, by the way. And you take Glenn Murray out of that team, and you had a championship team. You know, he's a good striker, Glenn Murray. He scored more goals in the league than Romelu Lukaku, who apparently has a shades of original Ronaldo. Not sure how that works out, but there you go, hey ho. So, it will come back to haunt you, get rid of Chris Hughton. You know, you want the football to be glamorous. You want to play champagne football. That's not going to happen. You know, West Brom fans thought getting rid of Tony Pulis was the solution. Then they brought Alan Pardew in. So if you're going to get rid of Tony Pulis, you've got to bring in somebody better than him. And that's not Alan Pardew, was it? So, yeah, you're going to go down. Into the top 4. Number 4. I'm going to put Arsenal in there. I think they'll finish 4th. Their home record was nigh on perfect. They only lost against Man City on the opening day of the season, and against Crystal Palace, where they put a sort of weakened team out there ahead of their Europa League game on the Thursday. They're covered in quality up front. They've got Aubameyang, Lacazette, the new signing Pepe. That's going to give them another string to their bow. They need the whole back four. The goalkeeper's good. Leno, he probably had a better season last season in the Premier League than David De Gea. He did get to a final, David De Gea didn't. So he's steady Eddie. And you'll finish above us. There's no doubt in my mind about that. On to number 3. Tottenham. Now, at the time of this video, Tottenham have only made one signing. And I didn't really notice Dembele when you played against us a couple of weeks ago now. Pochettino has still not won a single trophy. And the Audi Cup doesn't count, by the way, because Arsenal fans could go, okay, if you're going to count the Audi Cup, we'll call for the Emirates Cup to be in the history books, because that is virtually what Arsenal have made up themselves. The Audi Cup is not associated with Tottenham Hotspur. So there you go. So it's still trophyless. They won't win a trophy this season either. You can guarantee that. Harry Kane scores goals for fun. We all know that. Son stepped into the breach when Harry Kane was injured. He did very well. You know, he'll score more goals than Rashford and Martial put together. I'm sure about that. And Eriksen, at the time of this video, is still to and fro whether he's going to stay or not. Dele Alli is going to miss the beginning of the season. I've always said about Lloris, he's always got a mistake in him. I was the first person to say that. I've always thought that about him. So, yeah, I'm going to put a bit of fireworks there. Not sure what that's about. So I'm going to put him third. And I know that Jose Mourinho, Pochettino, beg your pardon, channeled his inner Mourinho moaning, I didn't get this, I didn't get that. So who knows what they're going to buy at the end of the transfer window. Second, I'm going to put Chelsea there. Now that will come as a surprise to most. They've still got a very good squad despite Eden Hazard leaving. Giroud signed a new contract. He can get a goal or two. Kante's still there. You know what Kante's like. I've compared him before to Claude McAlady. That's who he reminds me of. Remember when Real Madrid got rid of him? That was terrible, and that's when they started having a leaky back four. When McAlady went, defensive midfield player, he was a fantastic player, by the way. And Kante's in the mould of him, brilliant as well. I would have him at Man United any day of the week. And Lampard's a young up-and-coming manager. I think he might struggle a bit, but it is a learning curve, and as Del Boy would say, why not earn while you learn? And that's basically what Fran Lampard's going to do. So I can see him finishing second. And top of the tree, top of the pops, top of the pile, call it what you like, none other than Man City. What is there else to put somebody in top but Man City? The one word I've used consistently when we're talking about Man City is relentless. That's the buzzword I've always put on top of their heads. They're going to win the league again. There's no doubt about it. In Guardiola's winning the league title season, they accumulated 100 points. They finished 20 points ahead of us. Last season they accumulated 98 points. That is now the benchmark. If you want to win the league, that's the points tally you need to get. If you don't get that, then you're not going to win the league. I watched them against the Vermin the other day. Thank God Man City won that. And Kyle Walker made a fantastic clearance off the line. Wan-Bissaka could never. And they've still got De Bruyne. Rodri is a new signing. At the time of this video, they still haven't signed Cancelo, but looks like he's going to join. Another string to their bow. They've got the best manager in the world in Pep Guardiola. You got our fans, going, we got one over on City again. Yeah. Fred Sanchez. That is all. They want to win the European Cup, Man City. Maguire's not going to be the catalyst for that, is he? And just like Ander Herrera, he's not going to be the catalyst for PSG, who want to win the European Cup, and that's why they've recruited him and other players as well. So, and Guardiola, he's no liar. You know, remember when he said he was linked with, when he was linked with Juventus? He said, "I'm not going anywhere. I'm adamant that I'm staying." And you know what? He was right, wasn't he? So, not every single manager lies in the press conference. And people, oh, he's saying they've got no money left. He wanted, last season, 2 signings. He only got 1. And of those in the shadows who are going as well, oh, he's praised Harry Maguire. He also praised Jorginho for going to Chelsea. He didn't throw his toys at the pram. He didn't, you know, wasn't toxic, wasn't poison like Mourinho. He got on with it because that's what the best managers do. When they don't get all their targets, they find solutions to the problems they feel will happen during the season. And Alex Ferguson, he never always got the signings that he wanted. So, yeah, Man City again, domination, brilliant team, great manager. They're unstoppable. No one's going to touch them this season. Never going to happen because they're just great, aren't they? You know what I mean? Fantastic. And I predicted that the Vermin, you will not finish top 4. VAR is going to cripple your season. I can see you hovering around the relegation zone. Yeah, I can. And if you could go, oh, but in the European Cup, you know, VAR helped us out. Well, difference to that is the officials in Europe in the Champions League are different to the ones in the Premier League, because the ones in the Premier League in the European Cup, they don't have Mike Dean, do they? It's going to be interesting, isn't it, with VAR? Mike Dean when he's refereeing. Now that is going to be interesting, isn't it? Very, very interesting. Can't wait for that. Hopefully it happens when the Vermin lose against Norwich on Friday. Here's hoping. So you won't finish top 4. And yeah, you'll struggle, I think, this season. There you go. You might have won the European Cup, but Champions of England, you'll still never sing that ever again. And again, I'll emphasise, if you're a Man United fan and you're wishing the Vermin to do well, you are not a Manchester United fan. And that is living, cast-iron proof. There you go. So thanks for watching. What are your predictions for the new season? Do you agree with my bottom 3, top 4? Or if you feel like there's a different scenario, different teams you would put in those brackets, let me know in the comments below. And if not, don't get upset with my predictions. They're just predictions.